So my name is Gopi Sundaramurthy. I think we can go to the next slide. Maybe that'll help out with a little bit. Oh. Perfect. So this is our team, right? So we are an early stage VC firm based out of Austin. We have a very unique firm. It's what I would call as a modern venture capital firm. We've invested in companies like Saronic, Chaos, Icon, Zoom, Kara, Sidecar Health. That's not what really makes us unique. I think the cool thing is there are three partners on the firm. One of them has a Guinness Book of Record. The other one's from Bain Capital. I'm the one who doesn't have anything else. I come in from a more research background. I have a PhD in systems biology. And I think the best way I would define myself is I've been in VC long enough to know something is broken, but not too long to say this is how we're supposed to do it. So keeping that, I'm going to kick this off. You need an edge, not a hedge. How many people actually agree with this? The hedge is going to be on the data side. How many people agree with this entire statement? I want to make it going because we can make it more interesting and more interactive. I see 3 hands that said yes. And I mean, my goal is by the end of this conversation, you will agree with the fact that you definitely need an edge to win in this ecosystem. How many people use data as part of their day-to-day? Like have one data product subscribed to Harmonic, Raspberry, anyone as part of their whatever work they're doing every single day? I see a lot of hands. Awesome. How many people have at least one VC partner in their firm working 30% of their time on the data side? A few more hands. That's awesome. All right. How many people actually have a data scientist or one or more engineers completely dedicated on the data side? See it go down quite a bit, but we still have a couple. And that's awesome to hear. And the last one, how many people have half their team on the data side? I think that's the bet that we made when we started off because we saw the power of the edge. And I'll kind of walk you through how we went about the entire journey, right? And the way I like to structure this is very simple. Every single year, we want to have an operating principle. What is our North Star every single year? So we start off with our operating principles. What is a big problem that we see in VC and how we went about tackling this and how our firm evolved over the last 5 years to be able to consistently do this year on year. So this is something that we do every single year. We have an annual in-person week where everyone comes in. The part of the entire thing is what is our North Star going to be like? What are the 3 key things that we want all our customers and every one of our LPs and every one of our startups to know about us, right? For us, that's really simple. Teams matter. I think teams drive outcomes, and our goal is to make sure that our data team and the entire team can find these top things because we know for sure that the top 2% teams can deliver outsized results. Second one is data drives objectivity. I don't think anyone in this conference is actually going to debate me on this one just because it is a data intelligence conference. And the third one, process drives repeatability. I think this is the space I feel like is not talked more enough because it's awesome to have data. But let's just say that you have data and there's not making a fundamental change in your behavior in terms of how your team is functioning or how everyone else in your team is functioning, the value of the data diminishes quite a bit. And I really want people to walk away with this key fact that data and process is what's going to drive repeatable outcomes over and over again. Okay, every single year, again, there are about 250,000 companies or startups that are going to raise funding. Okay, in the US, 100,000, even better. Okay, this is a big problem within VC itself, right? You have 100,000 companies. No VC firm can say, hey, I've met every one of these firms and I know these are the best ones. Take it to one step even better. There's going to be a big period within, there's going to be like a 3 to 6 month window where you have to meet that founder in that particular time because that's when he's fundraising and you should have access to those particular deals. This is a massive, massive problem. Yes, VCs have amazing networks and everything else, but as time passes on, majority of the deals that the VCs are going to be doing are going to be coming through their network, and those networks keep getting outdated month on month. Hopefully no one's going to contradict me on this one. The problem is, where are we spending our time, right? I've kind of broken this down into 5 phases that you see here, right? And this is mostly to help you understand why is this such a big problem and why data is required. Majority of the VCs spend up to 50 to 60% of the time on discovery. When I say discovery, is what are the companies that are there? What is going on? What are my friends investing in? What is my network investing in? What is going on that front? Majority of the time, people spend it right there, and less time on the prioritization, validation, and diligence. This is the key piece, because that's where human intuition actually comes into play. If I have 10 things, if I have 100 things, and I ask you to do it, you're not going to do a good job organizing 100 things. But if I tell you, here are 5 things, tell me which one is your top priority and what is not very good, humans are really good at doing this, right? And that's the phase where we should be spending our time, and that's our goal too when you're building data-driven processes. Validation is, how do you make sure that this is the company you want to be investing in? And finally, the diligence phase, the most critical phase where you're saying, this is why I'm going to put in millions of dollars into this company, because this is what I see overall as an outcome. So our goal is fundamentally change this entire way we look at this entire thing. And how we went about this was the evolution of our strategy, right? Again, it's the reason why I put evolution here and not like, hey, what are the different stages that we went through, was the fact that at every single time when we built something, we went and audited how are we spending our time and what are we spending our time on. Let's just say that we built out a data platform works. There's only so much of alpha you can get by trying to improve the data platform. You have to figure out another way to give you more edge in terms of what you're doing and how you're doing it. And as you keep doing this stage by stage, you will evolve into a very different form to where you started off. And that's the key reason why I kind of turned to this on purpose, that this is an evolution for our firm. So what is an evolution looking like? So autonomous cars was like a good inspiration for this slide. You know, there's different levels of autonomy and what you're doing and what are the biggest things you're trying to achieve. We looked at the problem the exact same way. The first one is traditional VC firm. Level 0, you use some amount of data, 1 or 2 data providers, you still run on Excel sheets for the best part, trying to understand what's going on. Level 2, you have a data edge. Again, I define a data edge very clearly. You have a unique way of looking at the problem that gives you a unique edge over anyone else out there. Perfect. You quickly realize that this is where you have 1 or 2 data scientists, custom pipelines, all that stuff. You quickly realize that data can only get you so far. You start moving to the process, rebuild, and strategic collaboration. You kind of dive into all of these one at a time, but the key thing that I actually want to talk more about is what are the key factors that will make sure that you will succeed in this journey. The topmost one, I actually put it on purpose there, is leadership. Like, it's tough to bolt on a data strategy into a firm if the partners are not up for it. Like, if they are not willing to change how they are sourcing deals, how are they doing deals, it's a really, really difficult challenge, which is the biggest reason why I think in the next 5 to 10 years, AI native VC firms will actually outperform most of the other firms that are there. It's because the leadership change is the biggest impact. With managing partners being in these positions for decades, that change has to change for this move, for the overall field to move forward. The second one is data and AI models. No-brainer. Everyone accepts this one. You have to have a unique way of looking at your companies. Otherwise, there is nothing unique about you. If you're going to look at Harmonic and sort it by whatever factors that Harmonic has, everyone over here has access to the same data, and all of us are looking at the same thing. Data scientist's job at the end of the day, the way I define my job is I take long lists and make them short. How I make them short, what factors I make them short, what defines what my firm is looking at. But everyone has access to the same data. There is no new company that I can invent that anyone else here doesn't have access to. But that edge is key. Tools, workflows, and integrations. How does your data get to the team members when they want it, how they want it, and how are they going to use it? Very, very important, because that's the next phase where you can make massive improvements over what is already existing. And finally, how are you measuring yourself? What are you measuring for, and what's going on? The last factor is the most important one, time. You have to have enough time to be able to build this out. This is not something that you can decide tomorrow morning you're going to do it and it'll be implemented in some time. There's so much of different aspects to this one. I'll talk about our journey as a way to just walk you through the entire slide going forward. First one, data edge. Like I said, I added a little more information here. Just talking about one angle is your data needs. The second one is the value and the cost. All of them are key factors as we're discussing this. So for us, the data phase was me. I was the first data scientist hired to come and join this entire thing. I said, I will do a lot of this work. It was me building linear pipelines and Excel sheets and sending Excel sheets via Slack, via emails to every one of my partners. A deal would come inbound. I would evaluate the deal and say, hey, this deal is awesome too. This deal is not really good. Doing this manually was a pain, and it's a really difficult challenge to do. The challenge is, the biggest thing that you can do at this point, especially on the leadership side, is to have a supportive leadership. It is growing pains. You're going to fail. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. But you have to have leadership back you up to make sure that you can succeed in this entire phase. At this point, you're using like 1 or 2 different data sources, very simple pipelines running either on a bare metal or like really large servers within your own firm. All that's completely fine. You really don't have a workflow at this point. You're really running out of Excel sheets. And then someone sending you Slack message saying, hey, can you score this company for me? Can you look at this company for me? KPIs is build trust. There's a very good reason why I put this here, because majority of the data science projects actually don't fail because they don't work. It's because they lack building trust and openness about how people should actually interpret the results. Okay, what is our software edge? We spoke about this quite a bit. Again, the same figure. We still have 250,000 factors. We have multiple different ways of actually slicing and dicing this entire thing. So we call this the hallmarks of a great team. Whether they have networks, what is their relevant experience, what is their overall expertise, can we use data to actually identify this and build this at scale, where we can rate every single founder and say, hey, based on our network and who we can reach out to and what time we think they're likely to raise, here are the sets of companies you should be talking down to this month. It's going to change every single month. Have a workflow. Stage 2, process. Now that you've kind of gotten a data pipeline that's working month on month, what are you guys doing? How is the investment team changing what they're doing on a basis, every weekly basis? If they're doing the exact same thing, they're not leveraging data anymore. That's a huge piece of what we did. Like, the biggest thing that we were doing at this phase is the production lines were stable. We did not change our model at all because we wanted to build trust in that model. We built workflows for the teams to integrate into there every single day. Our KPI during this phase was how much the investment team uses this to identify companies and how many new companies they identified from this that they did not have in their network without this entire process. Again, this is where you start seeing the value. Your cost and value, this is where it crossovers. Like, in phase 1, it's a sunk cost. Like, you are just putting a lot of money inside and not seeing value. This is a point where you start identifying unique enough deals that were not previously surfaced that you can justify the cost of why you're doing this. Phase 3, okay, yeah, this is what we did. Very simple. Hey, our AI said, here's the companies. We broke this down into tiers for every one of our investment team members. High scoring and access. We actually had a mapping for our entire network for all the different VC partners in our firm. We knew who they knew, how well they knew them. We scored every one of our interactions to say, hey, this person is likely to know this person. This is a likely deal. You should be asking them the next time you catch up with this VC, can we tier this out? We built 4 tiers. This is how much deals fell into each one of the tiers, and this really allowed us the best access into firms because we always got the warmest introductions and we knew why we are there. It also fundamentally changed where we were spending our time because the AI was identifying all the deals, so we were spending more time picking and winning and less time finding deals. So at this point, we were not sourcing deals externally. We were saying, hey, I found these companies. Let's find ways to win access into those firms. Okay, rebuild the team. The most hardest phase. Convincing your partners that they have to hire someone different to come and join your team in terms of how they should actually work every single week. Changing how every single team member works and what they're doing every single day. This is still a work in progress for us. We're still rebuilding our team. We're still figuring out how do we rebuild the entire process from start to finish. The biggest thing is, this is where we're going in from like, hey, we're doing like a couple of data sources to like a dozen data sources at this point. Building out our pipelines to be way more robust, way more interesting. The bigger one is, like we had a clear metric on this one. I want the investment team to spend 80% of the time on our platform. Most of the deals should be sourced from our platform. That was a very, very clear task. That's what we set our KPIs to be. That's how we decided we were doing the right job or not. And that's how we fundamentally changed how we worked. We moved away from being reactive on a deal to actually moving into working more like a software firm. Every one of our team members versus our dev, like our product is called Unity internally. Our dev cycles corresponded with the investment team cycles in terms of when the model was being released, and both of us were building together on the same platform. We had quick iteration cycles. Every single month, we were releasing features on a monthly cadence and making sure that people can actually work on what they're building on. This, again, is fundamentally different because now we're working more as a software firm. than a VC firm, but the VC firm was our only client. Finally, once we gotten all of this, strategic collaborations, you'll figure out very quickly when you're doing this, you're going to go beyond your firm. You have to go beyond your firm to actually be successful in this space. And that's what fundamentally happened to us too. So what we started doing was our model started getting better because we had a lot of feedback. Investment team used to work, give us feedback to our model, hey, this is working, this is not working. Process feedback, hey, this process is working, this process is not working. How do you think about the entire thing all over again? We spent so much of our time just doing this that we were able to get to the point where we were comfortable managing our entire pipeline and we could take on more. And the best way to do this is partnership and collaboration. I can tell you enough number of times, hey, this deal my model said is amazing, but you can't build trust on the same thing. You have to build tools to better collaborate. And that's what we started doing. We entered into strategic partnership with Boost and Tim Draper, and we created something called as Tiny Dino VC, investing primarily in pre-seed funds as a way to show that we can build into the pre-seed stage. We use this, again, we're currently live, we're currently investing, we've already made 3 investments out of this fund in less than 3 months, and we're scaling this overall. And the only way that you can do this is why we're here, right? Like, we scaled up our data platform drastically to be able to do this. Moving away from being like, hey, we're going to process every single data that comes in every single month into understanding what data changed, why those data changes, and how the data changes impacts every one of our companies in our portfolio. Entire platform built on AWS. All the stuff is pretty standard. Like, we use Glue, Lambdas for most of our serverless pipelines. The bigger thing is the tooling. How are people accessing our data? How difficult is it for them to ask a question on our platform? How do we make it easier so that this integrates into their workflow so that they're able to ask more prominent questions? I think I'll pause there and happy to answer any more questions. Okay, what would cause you to ignore the data and pursue outlier companies? I mean, so the goal for us is there's always going to be a company where we'll be like, hey, we thought this company became Facebook and you did not invest in it. I'm fine with that, right? My goal is for every dollar that I put in a company, I want to make sure that that's the best company. The other key thing is, the goal is, let's just say that you are a VC, you're talking to 100 companies and you move 2 to 3 different companies in diligence. You spend 95% of your time talking to companies that you're never going to invest in. Our goal is, can we move that down to, if I talk to 10 companies, can I move 5 into diligence? The goal is not to fundamentally change what people are doing. I still think humans are a very key part of being VC. We want to fundamentally change how VCs spend their time. And we're building a platform that allows VCs to just do this at scale. Any other questions? Perfect. Thank you.